Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, and I am continuing my build of the Pro Series version of the Nike Smoke. Now this one, I have finished painting it anyway, the white, the base coat anyway. I primed it and I did put the glossy coat on. In fact, I put 2 gloss coats on. I'm not super satisfied with the finish. There's still a fairly obvious spiral in it. It probably needed more finishing. Um, I, it was deeper than I thought, apparently. I figured that priming it and running the sanding sealer over top of it would have done an adequate job, but it doesn't really look that way. I can live with the spiral. It's not that bad, but I probably should have ended up putting the wood fill over it and sanding that down. There are also a couple little places where my paint job blistered a bit, probably from painting it too much rather than anything else. But they both usually happens right near a fin, anytime there's a transition from just a flat bit to not a flat bit. So there's a little bit of blistering here and a little bit here. And there's one little crack that developed on this fin here, and that's right on top of a bit of excess epoxy, so something to be aware of. Alright, anyway, it is time to prep this to put the color into it. Now there's not much color that needs to go into this rocket, fortunately. It's just the fins. The fins need to be red and yellow. It looks like, here's the box art. That's good stuff, very nice. So most of the fins are going to be red, and one fin is going to be yellow. I need to mask them all off. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to paint the yellow fin first, and I'm painting yellow spray paint for whatever reason usually takes me 2, sometimes 3 coats to get the depth of color that I really want. It doesn't seem to, I don't know, it's just something about yellow spray paint. It takes multiple passes. So I'm going to do that one first, and then I'm going to mask that off like entirely. Probably just use a sheet of paper in order to cover it. But I am going to mask the rest of the rocket while I'm doing this. So I've got my ultra sharp line tape here. I need about a foot, I guess, to go around, and I'm going to put it right above, at least to start, right above where the fins attach to mask that off. I'm going to use the fins as a guide. So it's always a little difficult to make a very long, straight segment of this, but the fin is there to help you. I'm just going to wrap it around and try to get it as close. Yeah, this is pretty far off, it looks like. Let's try it again. As close to the fin as I can. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's probably a bit more than I needed, but better too much than too little. Alright, so that's great. I'm going to end up putting computer paper or some kind of paper and just wrap it around here and cover it up that way. Now the back, I'm going to do something similar, but I have this launch lug to deal with. So I'm going to have to do this in, probably not going to get the right amount here. I need about 8 inches, I would think, so about this much. I'm probably going to need a little bit more. This time I'm going to err on too little rather than too much, because I can't just put the tape right over top of that thing. It's too big. So I'm going to have to tape basically up to and around it. I am going to start by putting the tape basically on top of it, at least a little bit. And then wrapping around like so. Yeah, I needed another inch. That's fine, not a problem. Actually, I want this to, there we go, so like lay like that. That way I don't have anything exposed. Now the rest of it, just going to get a little tiny bit here and go up and over. kind of crimp this down. There's obviously some exposure right there, and there's going to be some in front too. That I'm just going to patch, but I'm going to patch it later because I'll probably get a little excess bit of tape here and there. Alright, now typically this should be pretty easy. I could put one big piece of tape here and one big piece of tape here, but that's not going to work quite as well as I would hope here, because remember, these fins they're tapered to the front and the end. So if I just put a single piece of tape, I'm going to let some paint in here, and I don't want to do that. So I am going to do a big piece. Let's actually come back to that side. That's going to be a little irritating. So I'm going to put a big piece like so, flush against the flat section here. And then I'll do the same on the other side. This does use up a lot of tape, unfortunately, but unfortunately I don't want to avoid doing that. You probably could, but I don't want to. I don't want to because I'd like this to look good. And I'm sure there are other ways to mask this off, but this one works best for me. So I'm taking smaller bits, like an inch or so, just snip them off, and then follow along the contour of that. That wasn't good enough. That wasn't either. There we go. That's better. And just mask that off, cover it up. So otherwise, paint's going to get in there. There. Yes, that is a lot of little pieces, but I think that's the best way. I'm going to make sure I get good coverage to make sure nothing is seeping through. Alright, so before I finish with this, I'm just going to run my finger over these seams to make sure that the tape is down, because it isn't always, and if the tape is bubbled up, then yeah, it's not going to do its job. These two sides are going to work the same, but let's just look at the part with the launch slug, because that's going to end up being a little bit different. And the problem here is, because of the way the launch lug lies, I'm not going to be able to get it's not going to overlap over this particularly well. So I'm basically just going to start it down here, and I'm going to have to cover that more. Which is fine, because I was kind of expecting that anyway. And I'm not really done covering it down below anyway. Okay. So more of the same here. Okay. And then a bunch of the little pieces to fit these gaps. These are the easy ones. The front, that would be. The back, well, that's going to be a little trickier just because of that lug. So I really want this part down. I can come and put another piece over that if necessary. But I definitely want it down right there. Alright, that looks okay. Now I'm going to put a piece over top of this just to cover everything up, because it's not covered really, not particularly well anyway. So I'm just going to kind of go up and over here, down here, and then crimp it all. And that should cover, should cover reasonably well. Alright, so that's how I'm going to mask off the core part here. I'm not going to bother doing anything with the back. The engine mount, we do have to put the retainer system over top of it. I don't really want to get paint on that, but it seems alright now, and whatever, I probably will get a little bit of paint back here, but I'm not going to worry about that. It's basically unpainted right now, because who cares, it's the bottom of the rocket. If you want to mask that off, you certainly could, but I don't think it's really necessary. Anyway, I'm going to finish masking off the other elements, and then it will be painting time. So thanks for watching, and we'll wrap things up in the next video, hopefully. See you then.